protection of the videos and all that kind of stuff for copyright and all. Anything else, Brett?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we've got people using the chat window, and I encourage you to continue that. Often there are a number of conversations taking place there. If you have a question and just say, what the heck, or did you say such and such, or how does this work with that, and want to type it in live, feel free to. That's part of the beauty of the webinar, where you don't have to interrupt the presentation. You can type directly. So, flipping the classroom, flipping a lesson using Bloom's taxonomy. Let me get my notes. I want you to go over to the participant thing and the green and red check boxes. Have you heard of flipped classrooms, yes or no? Okay, one of the beauties of the webinar is also that you can multitask and do something else, but unfortunately when we call on you to do something, if you're multitasking, we know. Okay, great. So almost everybody's familiar with flipping for Yuritsa. I'm going to give a brief introduction to it. And then the other question that I wanted with a green check mark or a red X is, have you actually tried flipping a lesson, just one class at least, and done activities, flipping activities? Green check mark or a red X for yes and no. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about primarily, so that's great. And I guess the last one is Bloom's taxonomy. Is that something that you're familiar with? I guess hang off on that. I'll ask that in a minute when I get to it. Most of this presentation is going to be based on an article on the Chronicle of Higher Education blog. It's called a Divide and Conquer Approach to Planning a Flipped Class Session by Robert Telbert. And there's a short URL. Rick, if you could type that in the chat room, so if anybody wants it, it's there. They can click on it and then save that page. This is a workshop that he actually does, that he wrote up and described, working with faculty to show them how to very simply decide how to flip a classroom and what to put in the two sides of it. So what is flipping? In a classic educational model, information is received in the classroom. The students sit there and primarily receive information, take notes, mark up PowerPoints, whatever. And then they go home and process it. And the processing at home consists of the homework assignment, the activities, writing papers, whatever. In a flipped classroom, the information is received at home before the class, normally through short videos, activities often on the web. That's one of the things that has really encouraged the flipped classroom, things like Brett just showed on the screen recording. And then in the classroom, the information is processed. And that distinction for me is really important, the difference between receiving the information and processing it. I've sat in classes as a student and watched people just writing as madly as they can to get their notes, not even processing it as it goes in. We've attempted to break that habit and get students more engaged by using eye clickers and questions and all kinds of things. But this actually flips the whole thing. This says we're not going to have them sit there and record and listen during the class to what the teacher is saying. If the teacher has something to say, a 5-7 minute presentation, whatever, on a topic, or even a number of them, they can watch that at home on the internet and then process it in the classroom. Now the question, if you decide to flip either a lesson or a class, is what do you provide at home and what do you save for processing in class? Where do you draw that line? What are the expectations? You can't give an entire 50-minute lecture on a video. Well, you can, but all the research shows no one watches it. I think Nick has some good research on that, where at the medical school they record all of their lectures. The students are extremely facile at listening to them. They listen to them at faster speeds, but they don't watch all of them. They watch the portions that they want, or as much as they want. So we're going to use Bloom's taxonomy as the model, or as the tool that we're going to use to decide what to put before class and what to put during the class time. So now I'd like the green button, or the green check mark, or the red X. How many of you are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy? Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so it goes from, it tries to take learning and break it out into different types of learning and actually rank order them to some extent. There are different models that do it differently, and this is the revised taxonomy. It was an earlier one that had different labels for some of these. Remembering the trivia, the facts, is the first level of learning. Understanding is the second level. Applying, being able to apply the learning to new cases, the next. Analyzing a situation and understanding that this is an example of it. Evaluating to see how to use it, and then the upper level, creating, where you're actually generating new knowledge in this area. So how does this, oh, I'm sorry. Before I ask the question, how does this apply, let me give you some examples of the verbs used with each one of these categories. So if you want the students to define something, if you want them to list the 4 major causes of something, if you want them to memorize something or be able to repeat or reproduce, that's all the remembering area. Understanding, classify, describe, discuss, explain. These are the things that say, okay, you understand it. Applying, choose from multiple choice examples and stuff. Demonstrate something, dramatize something, illustrate it, sketch, solve, use, and write are all examples of applying something that you've learned. In the analyze area, we've got a whole bunch of verbs: discriminate, distinguish, examine, experiment. And in the evaluating and in the creating. So we've got these terms that are useful, and I've got a URL there that Rick put into the chat room that, again, you might want to click on and save in your browser. Bloom's verbs, and that has many more than are shown here that really describe the concepts much clearer, to me at least, as to what you mean by creating and so on. Okay, there are 6 steps that I'm going to go through. Very practical. These are the steps that you'd go through if you want to flip a lesson using Bloom's taxonomy, and you think of the lesson that you want to try this with. It may only be part of a class. It may be a whole class period. It might be 2 or 3 class periods, but keep it short to start off if you haven't tried it before. First step, write down the learning objectives. What do you want the students to be able to do once the class, this lesson, is over? And this is where we find those verbs from Bloom's taxonomy, just if you don't have any idea, and list them, write them down. And again, I reference Bloom's verbs there because that's a great list. It's a PDF file, really nice. Then organize those verbs, and if you started with the list, you'll already know what category they're from, so put them in order by the levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So solve problems in context with a chain rule is involved. This is a mathematics instructor that did this, a faculty member. So he talked about the chain rule and teaching the chain rule. So that's evaluating. Some of these are applying, a bunch of them, a few understanding and a few remembering. State the chain rule, right? You'd like them to be able to do that when they finish the lesson on the chain rule. And don't skip some of those low-level ones. They're still important. Now, determine the cognitive cutoff. The cognitive cutoff differentiates between the things below the line, down here, which you are going to flip. You're going to move those before the class. You're going to provide material to the students so that they can learn that material on their own. It's easy enough, it's basic enough. They don't need your help or the class's help in general, other than presenting them with the material. Then the material above the line, you're going to have activities in class. So if you want them to practice applying the chain rule to differentiate a composite function in which at least one of the inner and outer functions is a table. And I was a math major back in the Stone Age, and you got me on this one, but I guess I understand a little bit of it. Anyway, if you want them to do that, they can do that in a group. They can sit around the table and you can give them a bunch of things and have them work together to apply it, because that's how they learn. First by doing it, but also by sharing what they're doing, talking about it, working with each other, and you're circulating through the class, working with them, paying attention to what's going on, guiding them, asking questions and that kind of stuff. So you do that cutoff, determine where it is, and then you plan the pre-class activities. And that may be a short video, it might be some text, it might just be writing it out and telling them, it might be going out and watching a YouTube video that you didn't create. So you plan those pre-class activities, and remember, it's not for the whole class. It's not every, that is, it's for all the students, but it's not for everything during the period. It's just for that material, which you say, this is the low-level Bloom, at the bottom of the Bloom's taxonomy, and this is what I can expect them to learn on their own. And then you plan the in-class activities, and normally these are activities. These are not lectures, these are not presentations. They're things, the students have already learned the basics of this concept of what's going on. Now they need to apply it. So often they'll be sitting around tables, they'll be joining each other, they'll be working together, because this is what they used to do sitting by themselves at home. And they say practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect. And they aren't at a level to be able to practice applying it yet. They have to learn to do that. That's a higher order thing. And they need to have people to bounce it off on. And then if there's a discussion and they aren't sure which way, to raise their hand and call you over and see what's going on. So it's probably the same type of things that you gave as a homework at the upper level, but more likely they're going to be working together on it. And then you close the loop. You give the lesson, you evaluate the results, you make adjustments in the lesson depending on the results, whether they learn the material and whether they seem to like learning it. I mean, the group activities may be something that they really love, or it might be something that they really hate, and you have to figure out, okay, how can I make it more enjoyable for them? Not that our job is to make education fun, but you know, it really is fun for many of us learning new things, so it pays to do that. Make adjustments to the lesson according to the results, and then repeat the process. Whether it's give the lesson next semester, the same lesson, or whether it's give the next lesson and try to adjust it to improve things, because you're always trying to increase learning. That's all we're about. What are the uses of this flipping? Well, you can go from a single lesson all the way to an entire unit, all the way to an entire course. But you don't have to start with the entire course. And that's one of the things that I want to say is that it's up to you how you want to begin. If you haven't tried flipping before and want to try flipping just a single lesson, go for it. Sit down, take a look at it, go through the steps, and see what happens. Some of the concerns that faculty have when talking about flipping are, one, that we're trying to replace the faculty. That is absolutely false. The work that goes on in the classroom when they're working together requires somebody who really understands those higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Anybody can go in and read the lecture, but to help students apply the knowledge, to help them create new knowledge, that's really tough. Okay, Laura, we'll see you. We are recording these sessions, and they will be made available online later. Another concern is that the students won't do the work. And that's always true when you have an activity before the class. Will they read the book? Will they do this assignment or all? If they see the value of it and understand that they're expected to get to this level before the class starts, and then you'll take them up to the top of the peak, then I believe that they will do the work, and examples of it abound of people doing that. It's probably worthwhile to show them Bloom's taxonomy and describe what you're doing and what your expectations of them are, that you don't expect them to learn everything on their own just up to this point. Some faculty are concerned, and rightly so, that it's too much work. Well, if you're trying to put everything online, it certainly would be. To try one lesson, that probably isn't that hard. To learn to use Collaborate and/or Kaltura to do recordings like this, we're glad to help you, and we're making videos so that you can flip your learning and try it out. So I do encourage you to start slowly and see what you can pick up, and we are available to help. And then faculty say that they have no technical skills and really can't handle all of this. If you can do a PowerPoint, you can record a PowerPoint with Kaltura or whatever. So it really isn't that big an issue. The things that can give people some problems, if you're used to writing on the board and showing them how you work out the problems, that's going to take a little more work to get the recording done, but it can still be done and do the job very, very nicely. I can speak from my own experience, having taught statistics, that students with recordings were much better off than the faculty, than being in a class that didn't have recordings, because if they had trouble with statistics, they could watch the recording over and over and over and over again to see, now, where did that 4 come from? Or how did he get rid of the I in that equation? Or whatever. So there are solutions. We're glad to help. We are not in a position to come into all of your classes and record everything that happens. Or anything like that. There were only the 3 of us. You saw that. But technical skills shouldn't be an impediment. If you want to do it, it's worth taking a shot. And C. Murray is Shane Murray. He works in our group now as instructional designer. Katam is an instructional designer in nursing. Lily is an instructional designer now in business, where an instructional designer is just somebody that helps you with this kind of thing. But you say, okay, I want to do this. Can I sit down with you for a while and talk through it the first time, and have you listened to what I'm saying, and that kind of stuff. So those people are around, and it's great. The last sentence of an EDUCAUSE guide, which is referenced on the next page, on flipped learning, says, the quote is, "What the flip does particularly well is bring about a distinctive shift in priorities from merely covering material to working toward mastery of it. I distinguish between teacher-centered and student-centered. The teacher-centered is presenting the material, the student-centered is learning the material, so it helps focus on, okay, what do I want them to learn? How can I get them to learn that? And how can I use the time that we're all in the classroom to the best value possible?" Here are 3 quotes, or 3 citations. The first one is a 7 things document. EDUCAUSE, the EDUCAUSE Learning Initiative now, develops these, and they're just the 7 things you need to know about da-da-da-da. In this case, it's flipped learning. So that's a valuable one that you might want. The flipped classroom infographic is just a graphic on flipped classrooms, what it means, who's using it, and that kind of stuff. And the original flipped classroom article is thank you, Brett, is the article on a high school. And if you're not familiar with it, please, it's really fascinating. They were in deep trouble. Their students were not learning, and they knew it. So they came up with the ability to record PowerPoint and decided, let's change what we're doing. Let's flip what we're doing and put on this stuff so that we can get to we can spend time in class reviewing and understanding and developing processing the information with the students rather than just presenting it. The students who don't know how to do something mathematically can look at it many times, that kind of stuff. And it changed the world for that school. They really started learning. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing story. And I do encourage you to get out to read it. Nick asked, will I be posting the PowerPoints? I will post them immediately. I will post mine at least immediately on Yammer. If you're not on Yammer, this will be in the Learning Design group. And we have been cutting up the videos into segments and then putting them onto YouTube, and we'll share that information, how to get to them. And somehow we have to have the handouts like the Bloom's verbs and the flipped information, and then these 3 URLs from the end. And we'll set up a site somehow for that. So are there any questions, or what are your comments at this point, those of you who have stuck around, and I thank you, on flipped classrooms, either the chat or the audio? Thank you, Yuritsa. You weren't familiar with the flipped classroom. After hearing this, are you more interested in giving it a try, or where are things? Put it into the chat, please. I just want to point out that this is a Coke Zero, not a beer in my hand. Well, I thank all of you for stopping by and spending some time with us. Hang on one second. We do repeat these every Wednesday at 3:30. It gives us a chance to talk to you, and we hope that you'll be back again. Put it on your calendar, and we will see you next week, hopefully. We don't know what our topics are. We had some ideas presented, a couple of them, and they're excellent, and we will continue doing this. And I guess I should open it up. We still have a few minutes left. Does anybody have any general questions about Blackboard or any of the other learning platforms here at UM, or anything else that we can help with? Either in the chat window or click the talk button.
Just want to let everyone know that I'm sending out a prompt right now. You should be able to download the PowerPoint file directly from the session. Can someone give me a green check mark if they see that prompt to download the file?
I can see the prompt, but I couldn't click the green button until I cleared the prompt by saving the file.
Excellent. That's a feature that I hadn't used before, and I just remembered that we had that, so I'm glad we're able to make that available right away.
So is that all of the slides from the presentation?
Yes, that's the full slide deck for this session.
Great. And I'll be anxious to take a look at that and see that the PowerPoints are still clickable and all that kind of stuff, if the links are there. That's great. Okay, it's closing in on 4:30, so I think we'll... Nick is trying to talk with a microphone, and there's something wrong somewhere because it sounds bah, bah, bah. So I'll ask him once again to type in the box at the bottom if he's got something. Okay, we're losing people quickly, and people are thanking us and saying their goodbyes. So I'll say goodbye too. Thank you very much. See you next week.